First off, I'd just like to say thank you all for being here. You could be doing so many other things right now, taking a walk in the forest on this beautiful day. You could be eating, you could be resting, you could be working on your study plan, but you chose to be here, and that makes me feel really good, so I just want to thank you for that. And I'd just like to get a show of hands, who's here because they're actually interested in creating sustainability around their art practice? Like you want to make money with your work? And who's like not so much, you'd rather your art be removed from the financial process? Okay, cool. So either way, my goal is not just to talk at you and tell you about my work and show it to you. My goal is to actually leave you with something of value. So who here like struggles with money? Who has like, does it make you feel painful? Or do you feel like you're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck? Or like maybe you just want to buy a new pair of shoes. I got these at Ross, but they glow in the dark. They're really cool. Or maybe you want more, like you want a nice car, you want a boat, maybe nice stuff, that's okay too. The reason I'm asking you all these questions is because I was there. I was in that position. I was what's known as a starving artist. A couple years ago, I was living in a small town in Port Townsend, Washington. It was like 9,000 people. The average age was 55 as a retirement community, so there was maybe 30 people under 30, between 18 and 30, literally. So I had like one friend, and dating was pretty much impossible, which was very lonely. It led to a lot of depression, and the social isolation led to what I found out later were anxiety attacks. So I was like having these heart attacks that I felt like the world was ending and I was gonna die, and I just realized like, oh, that's just my brain responding to social isolation, which is very unhealthy. I was also sick. I dislocated my shoulder and I had to have surgery, so I was out of commission in physical therapy for like six months, which gave me a very healthy addiction to pain pills and other substance abuse to cope, like alcohol and marijuana. I was pretty much high or drunk like all day, every day. But worst of all, I was broke. I was living off of, I was spending money that I didn't have, just trying to survive. It's a small town, so there's not really any commerce for me as a filmmaker. I wasn't working a lot. And just to give you an idea of how low I was, here's a little video that I made during that time. So that was my dark time. The only thing that really kept me going was like my work and doing fun stuff like that. I was fortunate enough to make a lot of music videos. It wasn't really great money, but that's the only thing that kept me sane. And here's one of my favorite music videos. right, sorry to cut that short, but again, time is very limited. So music videos are really fun. So I feel like it's a director's medium. And in terms of like business, I was paid like $1,000 for that. It wasn't much, but we actually used that as a tool to launch their first album on Kickstarter, and they actually reached their goal. It was like $3,500 or something like that. And we used that as a video marketing piece to get it out, to get the word out to people. So that's some of the stuff I do. And then I found Goddard. So remember I was at that low point, blah, 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 blah. Then I found Goddard. The cool thing about Port Townsend is it's very beautiful, and that's where one of the other Goddard residency is. So that's how I heard about it. And as soon as I heard about it, I was like, I have to do that. So I came here with 2 learning goals. I wanted to learn how to build sustainability around my own art practice because I absolutely refused to get a job. I refused to teach. I refused to wait tables. I refused to be a doctor or a lawyer or a real estate agent, something that makes a lot of money. I only want to make films all day, every day, and that should be my main means of income. And the other thing that I wanted to learn was how to teach that I could help other creatives do that same thing. And here are some of the results of my inquiry over the last 2.5 years. I built and created a business. This is just a stock certificate of when I incorporated in the state of Texas. But the way I thought about it and the way I treated it was, I'm not going to create, I'm going to create a piece of art that is this business. And I'll go more into that later. And this is basically what the service that I ended up offering.
Get the attention you deserve. Look cool. Build your tribe. Make more sales, make more money, impact more people, change the world, and have fun while you're doing it. We believe business is an art. We believe that good art can be great business. We believe people don't buy products, they subscribe to beliefs. We are emotional beings, and the best way to communicate with your ideal customers is to appeal to their emotions, using storytelling, creativity, and art. We are most comfortable in a space between art and business.
So it's basically video marketing in the shortest description. So up until that point, I'd never made more than $3,000 a month, which means I'd never made more than like 30 grand in a year. But this time last year, after starting to build this business, I grossed just about 11 grand and netted 6.5 grand. And then the next month it was 13, and then by the end of the year it was 14. So what ended up happening is I built this 6-figure business out of my filmmaking art practice, which was like, that was my goal. Another cool result is I got to travel the world. I went on over 70 trips to like a little over 50 cities, including Paris, Toronto, London, and Whistler, because what I did was a lot of event videos, which allowed me to travel because the events were just happened to be all over the country, which was a lot of fun. This is my bags, this is all my equipment. So this is how I traveled. Just imagine me like getting in a little Prius when I get an Uber, and like I'm like, okay, I have a lot of bags, but you just get to know your Uber driver really well. I didn't just make a lot of money, I saved 10 grand. I reinvested 10 grand about 10 grand into myself and my own personal growth, and into my business, and into my art practice, and into my ability to create more and to produce more. I also donated 3 grand, and I was able to do a lot of pro bono work for charities where I didn't donate just money, but also time. I was very fortunate to work with a lot of really well-known entrepreneurs who I found to be some of the most creative and prolific individuals that I had ever met before. I consider them artists who create in many different mediums in many different ways. They just don't call themselves artists, they call themselves creative entrepreneurs. I also was able to build and support a team of artists. One of them worked for me full-time. I literally paid all of his bills. and the rest were part-time. Recognition, the videos that I made over the last couple years, probably like a couple million views. This is one video that went viral at 1.4 million views on Facebook. I'm not going to show it to you because it's actually not that great. More importantly though, more important to me than money is like helping people and changing the world, which I got the opportunity to do through a couple opportunities, one of which was working with the United Nations on their Global Goals campaign. I worked with this guy, David Cooperrider, who was one of my clients, who created basically a large format change management system that's an event-based system called Appreciative Inquiry, where they bring the entire system into a room of an organization where these large companies are trying to create change across a whole country of like 10,000 employees at the same time. It's very difficult, but he created a way to do it very quickly and very easily. And the United Nations hired him to put on the Global Compact Summit, which is this huge event calling all of the business leaders of the world from I think it's like 70 different countries to come together to try to figure out how to solve these global goals, which they're saying are like the 17 most important initiatives that if we don't solve by 2050, we're basically fucked as a human race. Things like gender equality, no hunger, no poverty, climate action, sustainability, clean energy, life below water, life on land. So he hired me a couple times to make a few videos to work along with this campaign. And here's one of the companies that he worked with called Aim to Flourish.
These are the problems of the world. Who will solve them? Only through business will we really change the direction we're heading in.
Aim to Flourish is this storytelling platform about business for good. And we basically now have an army of students globally who are going out and uncovering as detectives these amazing innovations that are happening in their community.
So it almost becomes like the Wall Street Journal of business as an agent of world benefit. That is a go-to place for the latest news, but also good analysis and good knowledge.
It's a place for consumers to use their buying dollars to invest in companies that are doing good in the world. It's a place for investors to look to find out about innovations in Argentina or Indonesia that are making the world a better place.
My commitment is to see Aim to Flourish change the conversation around the world about business as an agent for good.
Business started as an activity that was connected with a real need.
We think of business as the people that are not doing good things for the planet, that are all in it for themselves, that are in it to make the most money, etc., etc. And yet there's this entire emerging community of businesses that are very clearly creating a new story for business.
What's different and somewhat magical about this is it's...
Okay, you get the gist of that. So another way I was able to, more importantly, help people is through this Miracle Morning community. The Miracle Morning is a book that one of my biggest clients, Hal Elrod, wrote, and it's now actually in 23 different countries, and it's created this whole global movement of people who wake up early in the morning and do like this morning routine. It's like a personal growth thing. It's like meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and journaling, which like a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs, even throughout history, have done at least a few of those practices like as part of their morning routine. Hal's goal is basically to elevate the consciousness of humanity by teaching the value of morning routines and starting your day right with these practices. And I ended up adapting this book into a feature documentary, which I'll talk more about later. But I did a lot of his events and pretty much all of his videos over the last couple years, including the Best Year Ever, which is where it's an event every year in San Diego. About 300 people come together and they plan what they want their best year ever to be, basically. And here's a look at that event.
It is phenomenal.
I would say life-changing.
I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm high-fiving, I'm dancing.
It's all about the energy too.
You gotta come and see for yourself and feel for yourself.
I haven't felt this excited about the future in a long time.
I would explain this as an opportunity to dig deep and really understand what's getting in my way of achieving what I want to.
And the energy level is so high because I'm surrounded by hundreds of people that are up to bigger and better things, that want to improve their life.
It's like you want to put it in a bottle and take it with you, but you can't do that, so you have to be here to actually experience what it's like to be around all these great people.
I can't recommend this enough. It's awesome. It's seriously life-changing.
So again, you get the idea. Personal growth, self-help, woo stuff. Sorry again to cut everything short, but time is limited. But another result is I grew personally. I became a completely different person because of all these events I went to. I hired or got the services of a lot of different coaches in areas that I wanted to grow in, like finances, even art, entrepreneurship, even like dating and women, like all the areas that I wanted to grow. And I read like 80 books in the last couple of years, not just within my Goddard studies, but also, again, areas that I wanted to grow in. And I finally felt like I found my tribe. Like I've always felt like kind of between different communities, and I didn't really have a family when I was a kid, so I was always like between parents, and family was like this bigger idea of, it was all inclusive. But I finally feel like I found my community of like-minded people. And I became a full-time filmmaker. Like that was the whole goal. I made like 40 or 50 of these short documentaries that I call documentary-style business films, which is kind of a new category of entertainment that I call brand storytelling, which the practical application of which is video marketing. So businesses basically hire me to create art to promote them, because a lot of these brands are trying to reach people online, and the best way to do that is through storytelling and entertainment, especially in a video format. And here are just some of my favorites, videos that I made. This is a video from a dad's retreat where it's a bunch of dads coming together, try to figure out how to be better dads, and I want to be a dad, so it was very important to me.
Imagine getting to a moment that maybe is near the end of your lifetime. And as you get near the end of your lifetime, you realize that you have a tremendous sense of calm and peace. Because as you think about your life and all the roles that you played, you realize that the role that mattered most is one that you thrived at, the role of being a father. This is your future. It's your destiny. It's the future and the destiny of your children and their children.
We created the Front Row Dads Retreat so that this group of men could come together to form a brotherhood, so they could reconnect to their purpose and find that deeper meaning of being a father, and also get the practical strategies that allow them to go back and be the best dads they can be.
To be in a brotherhood, and a brotherhood that's really welcoming me, that's a huge benefit. This is really the most amazing place for you to open up and go back with lessons that's going to change not just your life, but your family and most importantly, your children's lives.
For me, the visioning of what it would look like to be a front.
Okay, you get the idea. The cool thing about that video is someone actually came to an event and saw that video and apparently went home to his wife and told her, I'm finally ready to have kids. They, shacked up. And then like a few months later, came to an event and told the whole group that, they have a baby on the way. Just from watching the video, which is that's the coolest thing that could have ever happened. Here's also another one of my favorites. It's a music video that I did with a close friend of mine who's a great musician.
I'm really grateful, number one, to have grown up in a place that I feel so deeply connected to. I'm grateful for my beautiful girlfriend. I'm really grateful for music. I'm very grateful for the tribe of people that have consistently been supporting me from the very beginning of this journey. I'm just excited to have the crowdsourced footage from the Good Vibe tribe and everyone involved. Wardrobe change. The song, the reason that I wrote the song is because when I started practicing gratitude and writing it down in a journal and making time for it every single night, I can really specifically go back to that time and see that point in time when I was inspired to be grateful and to put it in my schedule and practice it, that my life started to change in a magnificent way. I would love the song and the video to inspire people to have the same experience that I did.
There came a time in my life when I knew I had to try and open up my eyes. It seems so simple to me. Why such a struggle to be? My own insecurities are creeping up on me. No more time in today. The sun is fading away, and I'm left feeling cray-cray. I need to make a change. It's time to rearrange. Late night in bed I lay. Why does it seem so strange to concentrate on what's great and sustain this feeling? Give it meaning. It is healing with one simple question. What am I grateful for? I think about the little things. What am I grateful for? So many simple things.
Woke up with a stretch and a yawn. So tired and I know I have to mow this lawn.
So a lot to be grateful for. And the most important result to me was, becoming a feature filmmaker. I don't want to make little videos, I want to make full feature-length films. And I mentioned earlier that we adapted this book into a feature documentary that's now in post-production, actually being edited by an Academy Award-nominated editor right now, and the music's going to be done by a Grammy Award-winning music producer who's actually brother James, the music producer. So it's going to be really good, I feel like. And we've been shooting for 2 years. We shot probably 90 scenes. 27 different influencers of these kind of famous entrepreneurs. The main character is Hal Elrod, the guy who wrote the book, and he has a fan base of a couple 100,000 people. But we have 27 other people just like him who have either similar fan bases or even larger. So there's the potential to reach millions just from the people who are in the film. And my agreement with Hal is that I own 25%. So there's actually huge potential for me to make hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million from the back-end royalties of this film as a legitimate film director, which is super exciting to reach that many people. And here's a sneak peek of the film.
Great lives are created one great day after another, and those great days start with great mornings. Miracle mornings are created by systematically installing new habits. Meditation for me is strength training for my mind. What do you want in your life? Meditation is going to give you more of that. And then exercise. I start with the opening series and yoga movements, and then I'll bang out 50 burpees every single morning by 8 a.m. And then I read. Reading is essential. We need to realize that any one big idea can literally change our lives. And then, as Hal would say, I scribe. You take the time on a daily basis to check in and you ask questions like, what am I capable of? Can I express that in this moment? I think the Miracle Morning has impacted so many lives because it's awesome. It works. If you put together this Savers model and you start your day with these rhythms, you will have better days, period.
The average person is settling
So
for less than...
that's a content marketing piece of, we're doing one of those for every influencer so they can share it with their fan base to promote the film. And I'm living the life of my dreams, woohoo! That's me. But the most important thing I want you guys to take away from this is that you can do this too. I've worked with so many creative entrepreneurs over the last couple of years, and it's become so obvious to me that like these are just they're simple things that you can do to create a sustainable model around your art practice, whatever it may be. So hopefully I can share some of that with you. So I'd like to share with you, what did I learn? I'm going to give you three. There's so much that I could talk about, but 3 big ideas. The first of which is what I call the American artist meta-narrative myths. These beliefs that I had in myself that I basically said, all that's BS. These are not empowering. I'm going to get rid of these and replace them with empowering beliefs, because everything starts with, I was raised by a Buddhist, and I believe that our life situation, our environment, is a direct result of us. And we have 100% responsibility for everything that happens in our lives. And it all starts in here. That's what I believe. Your beliefs create your thoughts, which create your actions, which create your habits, which create, your destiny, your life situation. So things like money is the root of all evil, business is bad, corporations are greedy, they only care about profits, self-promotion is selfish, artists get discovered. I had all of these beliefs. So money is the root of all evil I replaced with, money is just simply a form of energy. It's a symbol of value, and the cool thing about that is, because it's a symbol, you can make it whatever you want it to be. So if it causes you pain, that's not empowering. I would rather replace that with something like, money is the fuel that sort of funds my artistic voice. Business is bad. I replaced with, business is a force for good, solving the world's problems, which I learned from this amazing book, Conscious Capitalism, that was written by John Mackey, the CEO of Whole Foods, and Raj Sisodia. And here's one great one of my favorite quotes: the stores are our canvas upon which we paint our deeper purpose of bringing whole foods and greater health to the world, further pushing the idea that business is an art form. And instead of business is bad, I replaced that with business is good, business is love, business is giving, business is even sacred, which I learned from a book called Sacred Commerce, which was written by the founders of Cafe Gratitude. Anybody been to Cafe Gratitude? It's amazing. It's like the best food I've ever. It's like you go up and you order by affirmation. So I am enlightened, and that's like, I don't know, like a burrito or something like that. But it's an amazing restaurant, and they're like just huge profits and gurus in this new like fourth sector business movement. Self-promotion is selfish and ego. I replaced that with, if I don't cheer for myself, if I'm not my biggest cheerleader, who's going to cheer for me? I can't expect anybody else to do it if I don't do it myself. So I started getting in front of the camera instead of behind the camera and putting out my own content in the form of videos. I started blogging, and I started doing these content marketing quotes, where it's a thing in the entrepreneur space when you subscribe to like these like motivational quotes and stuff, and they're all done on the computer in Photoshop. I thought, I want each one to be a piece of art, so I hand drew every one and made like a bunch of them and slowly dripped them out as my own content marketing. Big idea number 2, moving from active income to passive income. This is kind of a complex idea, but in its simplest form, it's basically the idea that in our current capitalist system, in a 9-to-5 economy, we trade our time for money. But all the wealthiest people in the world, they don't even work. They make their money work for them by creating systems and investments that give them passive income in the form of dividends or property like rental checks, or even a film, a digital product is passive because 1 million people could potentially watch it and pay for it all at the same time when you launch it. That's like the simplest way. I'm not going to go into too much about that. But just to give you an idea of how this works, Brother James, the musician I introduced you to, he used to sell Cutco, which is a high quality kitchen cutlery, and he basically built up such a big business that he sold off part of it to be managed by somebody else, and now he collects a paycheck for $6,000 every month, and he focuses all of his time on his music, because his business is there, people are still buying knives without him, he doesn't have to work, and he can just do whatever he wants. Tim Rode, up on the upper right here, great friend of mine, he spent the first half of his life buying real estate, like rental properties, and now he just makes, he bought like maybe like $10 million worth of property, and now he just makes passive income, and he spends all of his time building his charity. It's called One Life, where it's basically taking these personal growth education, financial education, and entrepreneurship skills education, and instead of teaching it to rich white people, he takes it and teaches it for free to people who really need it, like underserved populations, like inner city kids. We've worked with foster kids, kids in transition, like that kind of stuff. Hal Elrod, one of my biggest clients, he wrote a book that's just gone viral. It's like huge, and he basically spends all of his time with his family now. He's built systems. He does a lot of events, but he has someone manage those, and he's very hands-off, and he spends all of his time with his family. Mike McCarthy, another real estate investor, he basically owns a whole region of Keller Williams, so he has people in place to manage it for him, and he's got like thousands of real estate agents selling properties, and the company makes a portion of that, and he gets a check for $100 grand every month doing nothing, and he just spends all of his time traveling and building his business. Is like, it's a mastermind for real estate investors. Just a bunch of real estate investors coming together and figuring out like, how can we be better people? So that's just to give you an idea of like how passive income works. Big idea number 3, business is in fact an art form. And this was really challenging for me to figure out like how exactly to explain this. But here's a great quote, one of my favorite artists: "Being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art, and working is art, and good business is the best art." Warren Buffett, one of the richest guys in the world, believes he is not a business person, he's actually an artist, and his art medium is actually money. This is from a business textbook, Business 101. "Give a man a fish, you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Teach a person to start a fish farm, and you'll feed a community for a lifetime." It's the idea that business is about creating goods and services that make the world a better place and raise the quality of our lives. So when I was studying the science of creativity, I found that this right brain, left brain metaphor, it's just a metaphor to describe the two capacities of the brain, the creative and the analytical. And again, it's just a metaphor. That doesn't actually happen in our brains, but the important thing to understand is we all have the capacity for both. We can all be creative, we can all be analytical. The mind is a tool, it's a muscle. You just have to work it out like any other muscle, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So whether it's a film or a painting or a performance or a business or a product, it's all still creativity. It's all creation of some kind. You're still using the same creative processes in the brain. The way that I think about business is that it's an actual social practice art. So Joseph Beuys, he said everyone is an artist. He basically stumbled on this new art medium, like that's human connection, the connections between human beings and how you can sculpt that and mold that and use that as a medium to co-create the social sculpture that we call our society. And here's a contemporary social practice artist, Rick Lowe. He considers himself a social sculptor. I'm pretty sure he's the one who coined that term. He does a lot of cool stuff, including creating businesses. So then, what's the point of all this? It's to make art, right? Like, don't you guys just want to make stuff like all day long? Like that's all I wanted to do. So when I got to a point where I built up my business, I realized like, oh, I made all this money, but I wasn't any happier. Like it didn't fulfill me anymore. I enjoyed building it and I enjoyed the process, and I realized I forgot the whole point was, and I kind of got swept up into it and became like this entrepreneur, and I forgot, well, the whole point is to make films. That's what I want to do all day, every day. So how did I do all this, and how can you do the same? For my practicum, I studied like how the science of learning and how the brain actually learns. What I realized was entertainment, storytelling, emotions is actually one of the best ways to learn indirectly, short of firsthand experience. The best way to learn is by doing, right? The second best way is to experience simulation, or indirectly, like film is a good way. And that's what I do. So I thought that was really cool. So instead of like writing a big thing, I wanted my portfolio to be something that people could actually use to learn from. So instead of writing a long thing, I wrote a screenplay. And I put it into a story following this character named Nick, who was an artist who became a creative entrepreneur. And what I realized in trying to articulate how I did this, I found these 14 like creative practices, creative disciplines that I found were habits that I was doing every day to build my business. And here's those 14. I found that like 25% of the process is the actual art creation. The rest is all these other practices like connecting with human beings, building relationships, contribution, giving. There's a law of physics, it's the law of conservation of energy that states energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transmuted into another form, which literally means you can't receive anything without giving, and you can't give without receiving. So the best way to jumpstart a business is to just do it for free. And so until people understand what you do and you've marketed and placed yourself within a marketplace. Collaboration, collaborating, co-creating with other creators. Communication, which is basically marketing and how to present your work and yourself and your brand. Exhibition, showing your work, obviously. People have to see what you do. Repetition, which is a major component of mastery. Just repeat, 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 and get better at it. Systemization, which is taking a bird's eye view look at the system that is your art practice and tweaking that instead of sitting and working in your art practice every day, taking some time to step back and look at it as a system and see how you can, be more productive, basically. Transactions, major part of a business, finances, obviously, and delegation, team building, hiring people, how to hire properly and fire properly. And then personal growth, you have to be constantly learning, and education, which is teaching others what you do, which is what I'm trying to do. So that's these cool 14 practices. And the cool thing about what I realized is it utilizes both sides of the brain, your analytical ability and your creative ability. So what I found was creating a business required a lot more creativity than even my filmmaking practice. It required me to create a lot of different things in a lot of different mediums, a lot of different ways. There's so much I can talk about, guys, but that's the gist of it. Any questions? It's 12 o'clock right now. That was like perfect timing. That was great. Yeah, so any questions, I'm here to help. Like, that's my biggest goal, is to help other creatives do the same thing.